Next on Worcester News tonight, a memorial ceremony in the city commemorates fallen firefighter Christopher Roy and 2 city residents who died in fires in 2018. Plus, we get an up-close look at the dangers of thin ice and the training first responders go through. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Olivia Lemon. Another cold day in the city, and now we're keeping our eyes on a mix of rain and snow on the way for the weekend. Let's send it right over to meteorologist Pamela Gardner for a first look at our local forecast.
Good evening. We had another cold day, and unseasonably cold weather will stick around tonight as our temperatures this evening remain in the 20s. We fall back into the teens overnight tonight, and soon we will see again below zero wind chill values. Overnight low ultimately 12 in Worcester, 13 degrees in Fitchburg, 18 degrees in Boston, and the wind from the west southwest. Tomorrow, a wind direction change coming more from the south and west, and that means some milder temperatures. Didn't think the 30s would be such a warm up, did you? But it is really compared to the 20s that we've had the last several days, high of 35 in Worcester. And the cold continues to ease tomorrow with a flurry chance along the south coast on Friday. But Sunday, a bigger chance for a wintry mix changing over to rain. I'll show you the timing and the milder pattern ahead when we could see some 50s in the 10-day.
A Worcester memorial honors those who have lost their lives in a fire. Thursday, dozens gathered to remember 3 victims who will be added to the memorial, including firefighter Christopher Roy. The memorial was created by the Maine South Alliance for Public Safety as a reminder for fire safety. Our Brittany Schaefer joins us live now with the story. Brittany?
Olivia, for 2018, 3 names will be added to the monument here, including fallen Worcester firefighter Christopher Roy. The department says the ceremony today was especially difficult, having lost one of their own.
Firefighter Christopher J. Roy, age 36.
3 names will be added to this Main Street memorial. The monument commemorates people who have died in fires since 1986.
This is yet one more sad day for the fire department for the city of Worcester.
In 2016 and 2017, there were no fire deaths in Worcester. Maria Montalvo, Jacqueline Cardinal, and firefighter Christopher Roy will join the 50 names already inscribed on the monument. District Chief Robert Courtney says it's heartbreaking to see another firefighter on the memorial.
Just going to that fire was right up the street, and actually remember coming down Main Street, taking the left on the little street, I could see that stone right there, and it's like, oh, forget what he did for everyone.
The Maine South Alliance for Public Safety holds this annual event to remember 4 lives lost on this day in 1990. A 28-year-old mother and her 3 young children died in a fire started by a gas space heater. Chairman William Breaux says this past year was tragic.
The tragedy of 2018 make it no easier to do this. It's painful. They fight fires. Their job is to save lives, and they do that. And then when you see they lose one of their own, it's tough.
Courtney says unfortunately next year at least one more name will be added to the monument.
Already there's another fatality going back to 2019. So again, our 2019 is off to a bad start as well.
In the monument also serves as a reminder of the importance of fire safety. Courtney says to always have 2 exits with your home. Breaux says the 3 names will be added in the next few weeks. Live on Main Street, Brittany Schaefer, Worcester News Tonight.
Worcester police releasing the name of the man struck and killed by a vehicle in the city Tuesday. 62-year-old Paul Scherer was crossing St. Nicholas Avenue when he was hit. A small memorial is forming on the street with candles and a SpongeBob stuffed toy. The accident happened feet away from a WRTA bus stop. The driver did remain on scene. His name has not yet been released, but he is identified as a 26-year-old Webster man. And the Worcester Police Department is asking for the public's help solving a 2016 double killing. No arrests have been made in the March 2016 deaths of 28-year-old Alex Laura and 26-year-old Jessica McKeon. The 2 were found in their apartment on Forbes Street and were under investigation for drug dealing. Police are asking anyone with information about the deaths to come forward. The Worcester County District Attorney hosting an opioid task force meeting on the importance of working during recovery. Local chambers of commerce and business leaders were at the meeting this morning. The Northeast Addiction Treatment Center says any company with more than 20 employees needs to address the impact of substance use disorder. Research shows those in recovery typically miss less days than the general workforce. The DA says they are loyal employees who deserve a chance.
Important working is in recovery. It gives people a place to go, something to do. It gives them a goal, a focus, a purpose, and it gives them, most importantly, hope. And that's how one of the ways we're going to beat this horrible opioid crisis.
People in recovery, they show up to work on time. They're as productive. They're loyal, and they're excellent workers.
And the Mass Hire Central Region Workforce Board also works with businesses to ensure all employees, including those in recovery, have no barriers to work. A driver loses her battle in court over a $55 ticket. She got it for honking at an Auburn police officer. She's furious, but police say it's within their rights. Our Rosalind Flaherty joins us now with the story. Rosalind?
Olivia, Auburn police investigated the incident and found no wrongdoing on their part. The driver says she disagrees. Stephanie Kelly never thought honking her horn would get her a ticket.
I'm furious, really.
In November, Kelly says she was driving on Route 20 in Auburn when a black SUV pulled out in front of her. She says she used her horn and swerved out of the way.
As I pulled up to the side of the vehicle, I went, "What are you doing?" And I looked and saw the police patch.
The officer was pursuing another car but pulled Kelly over, giving her a $55 ticket for excessive and unnecessary use of her horn.
My little Prius, it's unconscionable.
She says she was also accused of giving the officer the middle finger, which she says she did not do. Kelly fought the ticket in court, but the judge ruled in favor of the officer.
I feel like he bullied me, that he abused his power, and he's sticking it to me because he can. He's a police officer.
Attorney Kevin Larson says there is a statute in place making it illegal to use your horn unreasonably. And at hearings, the odds are stacked against you.
I don't see it applied very often. That's what the horn's for, ultimately, to signal to people, but you're not supposed to use it in a threatening or harassing manner. It comes down to he said, she said, and oftentimes the court does, side with the police.
In a statement, the Auburn Police Department says the officer issues 400 citations a year without generating a single formal complaint, exemplifying the professionalism that we expect from our officers during their interactions with the community. Kelly says although she ended up spending nearly $500 in court fees for the $55 ticket, she would fight it again.
I stood up for what I believe in and what's right and what's wrong, and this was wrong.
Now, Kelly says she wants to work with legislators to get the law changed so this doesn't happen to anyone else. Rosalind Flaherty, Worcester News Tonight.
Caroline's Cannabis is given the green light to start adult use operations next week. Thursday, the state's Cannabis Control Commission gave the Uxbridge shop the go-ahead. It's the first store not already operating as a medical marijuana dispensary to receive a commenced operations. Notice from the commission, the store currently sells garden, home, and store decor products related to cannabis. Meanwhile, the city of Worcester is set to negotiate a community host agreement with one additional retail marijuana shop. It will bring the total number of stores in the city to 14. The new store is Nature's Remedy on Southbridge Street. By state law, Worcester is required to allow for 15 marijuana retail establishments in the city. This time of year, fire departments across the area remind people to stay off the ice, and while they put out many warnings, sometimes accidents happen and people or animals fall through. Thursday, the District 7 dive team showed us what a rescue is like. Our Chandler Walsh was the daring victim and got to experience it firsthand. Chandler?
Olivia, Auburn members of the district's dive team were able to get me from the icy waters back on land in just over 3 minutes. They say these types of calls are infrequent but high intensity. Members of the District 7 dive team are skilled on the ice. They train every other month on situations like underwater vehicle recovery, surface ice rescue, and underwater ice rescue.
Try to space out our trainings based on what the weather conditions are, whether it be ice or swift water or regular diving.
Thursday, Worcester News Tonight was part of their training. Wearing a protective suit, I hopped in the icy waters behind the Auburn Fire Department. One firefighter made his way onto the ice, put a pool noodle-like tool called a sling around me for flotation, put me on a sled, and the team pulled us safely back to land.
There's a lot of things that can go wrong with anything with water. With that being said, you have to make sure that you're trained to be able to handle all the hazards.
These are the suits the dive team wears when they go out on ice rescues. They're lightweight and also protect them from the cold water.
They also need some flotation, so these suits provide some buoyancy to them.
Dive team coordinator Brian Sheridan says every situation is different and the team needs to adjust their response accordingly.
We have to figure out what's going on, what can go wrong, what our hazards are, and be able to develop a plan.
Sheridan says the district has had at least 2 ice calls this season and recommends people always stay off the ice.
We recommend that all the time, that to treat all ice as if it's going to collapse underneath you. It's never safe.
Sheridan says thick ice one day might not be the next. He says conditions change based on temperature, wind, snow, and water currents. Chandler Walsh, Worcester News Tonight.
Great story and great advice. Thank you, Chandler. An 89-year-old Worcester woman becomes a U.S. citizen after a long journey to pass her naturalization test. Larinka Nunca moved from Albania to the United States 6 years ago to be with her family. Her family hosted a ceremony where she stays at Holy Trinity and Nursing and Rehabilitation Center. Nunca doesn't speak English, but through a translator says becoming a U.S. citizen was one of the best days of her life.
I'm so happy, and I feel very comfortable now because it's my dream. It's come real in my life, and now she said, I'm gonna say thank you to everybody.
And she says the nursing home and her family helped her study to pass the test.